When the Gu family was on the brink of bankruptcy, Mr. and Mrs. Gu came to our door, begging for a marriage alliance. My father, heartbroken that I had loved Gu Sinian for 10 years, injected 10 billion to save the Gu family and married me off to them on our wedding night. Gu Sinian blindfolded me with red silk and took me, hard, again and again. A month later, overjoyed, I went to find him with my pregnancy report, only to overhear him betting with his friends at a bar. So, CUA was passed around by over a dozen guys. Who do you think the father is? Friends burst into laughter. Young Master Gu, I only did it 3 times. It can't be mine, can it? I think Ah Zhao was really wild that night. CUA was almost driven crazy. I bet 100,000 yuan, it's his. Only then did I realize that the person who shared my bed on our wedding night wasn't Gu Sinian at all, but his dozen or so brothers. I stormed in, frantic, to confront him, but he was unconcerned. Why are you crying? If it weren't for your family threatening to withdraw funding and forcing Tingting to leave, would I have treated you like this? Let me make this clear. I'll let you go when Tingting is willing to forgive me. My heart was dead when I asked for a divorce, but he used the video from that night to threaten me, locking me in the basement. Don't be in such a hurry to leave. My buddies and I are still placing bets on who the bastard's father is. 8 months later, I died in childbirth in that basement, a tragic end for both mother and child. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn, back to the day I returned to the Gu family to beg my father for the investment that would seal the marriage alliance. This time, on my wedding day, Gu Xingyan's eyes were red from crying. Yeah, actually, Sinian likes you too. If you could marry into our family, Sinian would definitely be very happy. I suddenly woke up and saw the Gu couple looking sincerely at me. In a sudden flash of clarity, I realized I had been reborn. Mrs. Gu gently took my hand, her face beaming with a smile as she said, Auntie knows you've had a crush on Sinian for 10 years. If our 2 families were to unite through marriage, I saw my parents offer an awkward smile. They all knew perfectly well that the Gu family's proposal was nothing more than a desperate move, driven by their impending bankruptcy and urgent need for our family's $10 billion capital injection. They know I'm head over heels in love with Gu Sinian. Thinking about it, if it could make me marry him as I wished, it wouldn't be so bad. But now, I wish he were dead. I snapped back to reality and interrupted her. I don't want to marry Gu Sinian. The moment I said that, every single pair of eyes in the room snapped toward me. It seemed no one expected that I, who usually followed Gu Sinian around like a lovesick puppy, would actually refuse the marriage proposal. Mrs. Gu looked at me in shock. Yeah, did you have a fight with Sinian? Auntie will go home and give him a good talking to. I shook my head. That won't be necessary. Gu Tingson paused for a moment. Is this because of Jiang Yanting? Seeing that I remained silent, he sighed. Jiang Yanting is just a financially disadvantaged student our family sponsors. Sinian is only kind to her out of pity. Don't worry, when I get home, Uncle will have Jiang Yanting sent away. She will never appear before Sinian again. In my past life, he said the same thing, but it only earned me Gu Xingyan's resentment. He believed that I was the one who drove Jiang Yanting away. As a result, on our wedding night, Gu Xingyan called over a dozen of his buddies and tortured me all night long. When I found out, he went even further and imprisoned me in the basement, forcing me to have a child just to gamble on whose child it would be. When my parents sensed something was wrong and came to look for me, Gu Xingyan pulled out the video of me being tortured that night, his face full of resentment as he said, "This is the fine daughter you've raised in the C family, sneaking around with so many men behind my back. It's disgusting." After watching the video, my parents were utterly heartbroken and both fell ill, confined to their beds. Not only did Gu Xingyan show no remorse, but he also brought Jiang Yanting before me and sneered, "Once your parents are dead, I'll take over the C Corporation and give it to Tingting as an apology." My heart turned to ashes, and I died in childbirth. Remembering this, I trembled with rage and blurted out, "Gu Xingyan is not worthy of me marrying him." My words visibly stung Gu Tingson. "Even though the Gu family's situation isn't great right now," he said, his face falling, "if the C family is willing to invest, I can guarantee you won't lose a penny." He wasn't wrong. In my past life, after my parents injected billions to bail out the Gu family, their business only grew stronger. The C family didn't lift a finger, yet they pocketed hundreds of millions in dividends for free. "I'm not about to turn down money right now," I said coldly. "I will marry into the Gu family, but not Gu Xingyan. It will be Gu Huichuan." The room fell silent for a few seconds before Gu Tingson abruptly stood up. "You mean Huichuan? His legs are paralyzed. He can't even stand up. Are you out of your mind?" Dad quickly chimed in to stop me. Yeah, don't do anything rash." I gently patted the back of Dad's hand, signaling for him to stay calm too. Although Gu Huichuan was Gu Xingyan's uncle, he was only 4 years older. We practically grew up together since childhood. It was only after a car accident that left him unable to stand that he gradually faded from my sight. In my previous life, I was imprisoned in the basement by Gusinian, and he was the first to find me. He kept shouting, "Don't be afraid," over and over, smashing the door repeatedly, and I clearly saw that his legs were not paralyzed. Later, when Gusinian arrived, a group of people beat him half to death. I remember Gusinian saying viciously, "Uncle, why didn't that hit kill you when I had someone run you over? You wanted to compete with my dad for business back then, and now you want to compete with me for a woman. Why are you so despicable?" Gu Huichuan not only didn't get angry but also knelt down to him. "Let Yaya out, and I'll do anything you ask," Gusinian sneered, slamming his head against the wall, producing a series of dull thuds. "I will never forget what Gu Huichuan said. Yaya, I've been looking for you for so long, so how could choosing Gu Huichuan be a reckless decision? As for Gusinian, I will make him pay for what he did." Coming back to my senses, I looked at the Gu couple and said, "I've made up my mind. I will marry Gu Huichuan." Seeing how firm I was, they didn't press the matter further and nodded in agreement with that decision made. I felt a wave of relief and decided to go find Gu Huichuan at his bar, but right at the entrance, I spotted Gusinian and Jiang Yanting. Gu Xinyan's cheerful expression instantly twisted into one of annoyance when he saw me. "Siue, why are you so clingy? Do you have to follow me everywhere?" The guy behind him burst out laughing. "Told you she'd show up tonight. I bet if you told her to lick young Master Gu's shoes, she'd drop to her knees in a heartbeat." Hearing this, Gu Xinian flashed a wicked grin. He gave me a meaningful look and lifted his foot slightly, as if weighing it. A wave of disgust washed over me. I coldly stepped around him. "Move." Gusinian was stunned, then grabbed me. "Siue, I know all about how you used the investment to force a marriage with me. What kind of act are you putting on now? You don't really think that pretending to be aloof will make me look at you more, do you?" I glanced at him indifferently and said truthfully, "I never wanted to marry you." Gusinian was silent for a moment, then let out a sarcastic cold laugh. "Never. Gu Group has already received your father's 100 billion investment, and you're saying it's not true. Do you know how cheap you look, begging me to marry you like this?" I nodded. "I know, so I won't marry you." Realizing the full meaning of my words again, Gu Xinyan froze in place. It wasn't until Jiang Yanting spoke softly from the side. "Xinyan Gij, I think Siyu just doesn't want to see me. If you don't marry her, Gu Corporation will." "Fine, I'm leaving." Gu Xinian abruptly let go of my hand, turned, and pulled her into an embrace. What does she even matter? Even if she got her wish and married me, I wouldn't love her. "Be good, Ting Ting. We'll go get our wedding photos taken tomorrow." In my heart, "You're the only one who's my wife." The onlookers heard this and started whistling, calling out sis-in-law. To Jiang Yanting, Gu Xinian gave me a triumphant glance, as if waiting for my reaction. He used to enjoy seeing me embarrassed, but now, I felt nothing. "You can marry whoever you want, I don't care," just as I was about to leave, Jiang Yanting blocked my path. "Siue, stop pretending. The engagement between the Si and Gu families has already been reported by the media this afternoon. I can overlook the fact that you hired thugs to humiliate me, but I beg you, please be good to Brother Sinian in the future." As for the thug incident, it was nothing more than Jiang Yanting staging it herself, framing me, and playing the victim. I have tried to prove myself, but Gu Xinian just wouldn't believe me now. I can't be bothered to explain. Hearing this, Gu Xinyan's face darkened. Why bother asking her? A woman like her, who will stop at nothing to achieve her goals, is no match for you. He warned me, "Marrying you is just a business deal. If I ever catch you bullying Ting Ting again, I absolutely won't let it go." Before he could finish, I interrupted him. "All right, got it. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving." After saying that, I walked straight into the bar without looking back. What sister-in-law? In a few days, Gusinian will have to respectfully call me aunt. 3. I walked straight into the innermost private room of the bar. As I pushed the door open, I saw Gu Huichuan sitting in a wheelchair. He was facing away from me. "Why didn't you choose Sinian?" Without thinking, I leaned down and kissed his lips. "Don't you want to marry me?" He swallowed, then after a moment, whispered, "Yes." The next day, Mrs. Gu sent someone to pick me up and take me to the Gu family villa. She said that the Gu family brides have always worn the same wedding dress over the years, and she wanted me to get measured for it. The butler carefully retrieved the wedding dress from the rosewood cabinet, his eyes brimming with delight. "If Master Gu were to see you in this dress, he wouldn't be able to take his eyes off you." "What did you just say?" The sudden voice made my heart skip a beat. Gu Xinian had appeared at the top of the stairs at some point, with Jiang Yanting standing behind him, looking at me. With a smug expression, before the butler could speak, I cut in, "It's nothing." Gusinian stared at me for several seconds, then let out a cold laugh. "Don't think that just because you're about to marry me, you can start acting like a young mistress." With that, he snatched the wedding dress from my hands. "Let Ting wear it first, then it's yours." The butler's face turned pale. "Young master, this is the Gu family's heirloom wedding dress, traditionally only worn by the bride of the Gu family." Jiang Yanting suddenly burst into tears. "As expected, Cua has the means. As soon as you arrived, even a servant dares to speak to me like this." As soon as the words were out, Gusinian pointed at the butler and scolded, "You don't even listen to me anymore. First, measure Ting's size." I took a deep breath and said, "No, my wedding with Gu Huichuan was already tight, and now where do we have time for this nonsense?" With that, I reached out to take the wedding dress back, but before my hand could even touch it, Jiang Yanting let out a sharp scream, stumbled backward, and tumbled straight down the stairs. Jiang Yanting lay at the foot of the stairs, blood seeping from a cut on her forehead. Her face was deathly pale as she pointed a trembling finger at me. Why did you push me?" Seeing this, Gusinian immediately rushed down, picked her up, and ran out without looking back, shouting, "Ting! Jiang Yanting has pulled off this clumsy act more times than she can count." But Gusinian believed her every single time. I sighed, ready to leave, when my phone suddenly vibrated. It was a message from Gu Huichuan, saying he was waiting for me at our usual spot. My mood instantly lifted, and my steps felt lighter. But just as I stepped out of the Gu family villa's main gate, Gusinian, who had turned back, abruptly pulled me into his car. I frowned. "What are you doing?" I struggled to get out of the car, but he held me down firmly. Ting is bleeding. You need to give her a blood transfusion." "Are you crazy?" I exclaimed. "That little injury will heal before we even get to the hospital. I want to get off." Seeing me take out my phone to make a call, he snatched it away and threw it out the window. "Cua, you've already married me as you wished. Why are you still doing this to Ting?" Seeing the car about to start, I shouted, "Sinian, I faint at the sight of blood and I'm anemic. I'll die if I get a blood transfusion." But Sinian just chuckled. "Stop pretending. That trick doesn't work on me." Soon, we arrived at the Gu family's private hospital. Gusinian pulled me straight to the blood transfusion room and told the nurse, "Hurry up and draw as much as Ting needs." As soon as the first needle went in, I shuddered all over and my consciousness began to blur. After an unknown amount of time, I found myself lying weakly on the floor, wanting to seek help from a doctor, only to realize I was the only one left in the blood transfusion room. It turned out that Gusinian had already taken all the medical staff to take care of Jiang Yanting. Just as I thought I was about to die, I suddenly felt strong arms lifting me up. "Don't fall asleep, Cua, don't fall asleep." When I woke up, I saw Gu Huichuan, his eyes red. "I'm late." As soon as he finished speaking, he took out a delicate diamond ring and slipped it onto my ring finger. Yeah, marry me." It was only then that I realized he had planned to propose to me at our old spot this afternoon. He insisted that the ceremony must go ahead as planned. I nodded in agreement. The next second, he made a call, "Move the wedding to tonight." I was taken aback. "But Jiang Yanting has the wedding dress." Gu Huichuan chuckled softly, his eyes filled with affection. "It's alright, I've already prepared everything for you." That night, I appeared at the hotel wearing a one-of-a-kind wedding dress. Gusinian rushed over, his face full of impatience. "Is it just because I asked you to donate blood that you're playing games with me like this? Isn't it just jealousy because I was with Ting? Now that I'm back, are you happy?" The words had barely left his mouth when Gu Huichuan's voice came from behind him. "Sinian, is that any way to greet your aunt?" For Gusinian's eyes widened in shock. What aunt?" Gu Huichuan stepped past him, pushing the wheelchair directly to my side. "Tonight is Yaya's and my wedding, didn't you know?" I looked up with a faint smile. I told him. He just didn't believe me. Gusinian froze completely. "Impossible. My parents went to the C family estate to arrange a marriage alliance for me. The person you're supposed to marry is clearly me." The butler spoke in a low, somber tone. "Young master, the intended match has always been second master." Hearing the butler's words, Gusinian was clearly still unconvinced. He straightened his suit, forcing himself to appear calm as he took my hand. "Cua, stop playing these childish games. Let's hurry through the ceremony. Ting is waiting for me." I instinctively pulled my hand away, but he let out a cold laugh. "Even though tonight is our wedding night, I won't be coming back to you. I promised Ting I'd be with her. So, don't waste my time." He said the same thing in my past life, but back then, I naively believed that once we were married, he might gradually come to accept me. So after the wedding, I tried every trick in the book to make him stay. Seeing this, Gu Tingsun secretly arranged for Jiang Yanting to be sent abroad overnight. When he found out, he pretended not to care, but on our wedding night, he blindfolded me with red silk and handed me over to more than a dozen of his brothers. Now, looking at him, I feel nothing but disgust. Seeing this, Gu Huichuan shielded me behind him and said coldly, Sinian, out of respect for you being my nephew, I won't argue with you, but I suggest you show some self-respect. He was about to say more when the butler handed him the invitation. Young master, this invitation has been in your room for some time, you simply haven't returned to see it. Only then did he carefully read the contents of the invitation. A few seconds later, his hand began to tremble slightly, a flicker of panic flashing in his eyes before he demanded, Gu Huichuan, are you in on this act with her? Gu Huichuan spoke calmly, after tonight, she will be my wife. Sinian, it's time you faced reality. Gu Sinian suddenly laughed. A smile tinged with mockery. Siue, you've been chasing after me for 10 years, how could you possibly be willing to marry someone else? And he's also a paraplegic, I retorted bluntly. You're wrong, in my eyes, he's far better than you. He instantly flew into a rage, grabbing my wrist and trying to drag me out. Seeing this, Gu Huichuan grew anxious and was about to stand up from his wheelchair. I quickly pulled away from Gu Sinian and gently placed my hands on Gu Huichuan's shoulders. I knew he was faking it, but I also guessed he had a reason for pretending to be paralyzed. I didn't want him to expose himself this early on my account. I turned to look at the banquet hall entrance and said, the guests are all arriving. Gu Sinian, don't embarrass your family. With that, I pushed Gu Huichuan's wheelchair and left. Siue, Gu Sinian roared behind me. If you turn back now and stop this charade, I can pretend none of this ever happened, but if you don't, once my parents get here, I will call off our engagement. I'll make you the laughingstock of the entire city. I turned a deaf ear and kept walking. After all, the one making a fool of themselves tonight certainly wouldn't be me. After leaving Gu Si's sight, Gu Huichuan whispered to me, do you know my leg is fine? I replied softly, but I also know you have your reasons. We'll talk when you're ready to tell me. The wedding officially began, and my father led me slowly down the red carpet. Since the wedding was hastily moved up, the Gu couple had just rushed back from another city. Gu Sinian breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing their arrival, then strode onto the stage. The eyes of every guest turned toward him in unison. He straightened his sleeves and said with a face full of scorn, thank you all for coming tonight, but I'm afraid, the Gu family will absolutely never allow such a vicious, scheming woman to marry into our household. I am now announcing that I am breaking off my engagement with Siue. 5. As soon as these words were spoken, the guests below the stage erupted in commotion. What is he doing by breaking off the engagement? What is he doing? Can he decide this matter? Gu Sinian looked around, his gaze finally landing on the Gu couple. Dad, Mom, the one I truly like is Tingting. Although the Si family helped us, I cannot go against my conscience. I will repay the debt to them in the future. I watched Gu Sinian on stage with a cold expression, feeling increasingly embarrassed for him. Let's not even mention that he's not the groom tonight. Just consider how my family poured billions to bail out the Gu family, and all he has to say is a flippant I'll pay you back someday. Don't you find that kind of talk utterly ridiculous? And to think he had the nerve to humiliate me in front of all those people for Jiang Yanting's sake. He's got a death wish. My dad realized what was going on, his face turning ashen in an instant. What does the Gu family mean by this? Gu Sinian, however, showed no fear and turned to my dad, speaking coldly, isn't it shameful that you're threatening the Gu family with investment just to marry Siue to me? I was going to give Siue another chance, but she's acting like she's holding a royal decree when it's just a chicken feather, completely ungrateful. As he spoke, he looked toward Gu Huichuan on the side of the stage. Uncle, at your age, playing such childish tricks with Siue is really embarrassing, Mr. and Mrs. Gu turned pale with fright and rushed onto the stage to grab him. Sinian, shut up, get down here. Right now. At that moment, a sharp female voice came from outside the door. Jiang Yanting burst in, directly kneeling in front of me, her eyes brimming with tears as she said, Siue, I truly love Sinian, I beg you, don't take him away by any means, please. I looked at her and found it amusing. If they don't cause trouble, after tonight, do whatever you want, but now that they've made a scene, it's not looking good. Gu Sinian looked at Jiang Yanting's state with a face full of heartache. He pointed at me, his tone arrogant, you can marry me, but you must accept Tingting living with us. I need to spend at least 5 days a week at her place. If Tingting has a child in the future, they should share everything equally with your child. As soon as these words were spoken, the whole room erupted in chaos, and the elders shouted, "This is outrageous." I felt my dad's grip on my hand tighten. He finally seemed to understand why I didn't choose Gusinian. I looked at Gusinian and retorted, "How can you be so sure that the person I'm marrying is you?" As soon as the words left my mouth, Gu Huichuan wheeled himself onto the stage. He clapped his hands, and the next moment, the big screen started playing our hastily taken wedding photos, several of which showed us passionately kissing. The guests below the stage whispered to each other, "Actually, Siyue and Gu Huichuan make a pretty good match. Who would have thought?" After chasing Gu Sinian for 10 years, she's now about to be called his aunt. Gu Sinian pointed at the speaker in the crowd and roared, "What? Aunt, didn't I make myself clear enough? They are." Before he could finish, Madame Gu panicked and hurriedly covered his mouth. "Sinian, you want to marry Jiang Yanting, is that it? I have no objections. Now get out of here." Hearing this, Jiang Yanting smiled triumphantly. Gu Sinian struggled to continue speaking, but the moment he looked up, he saw the large screen behind him. He froze instantly, as if only now realizing that no one had been lying. Pointing at the wedding photos, his face flushed red. He stammered, "Siyue, when did you betray me? How could you cheat on me?" 6. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh. "Don't say things that could be misunderstood. I've never been with you, so where does the idea of betrayal come from?" Gu Sinian looked incredulous, then grabbed Gu Huichuan by the collar and roared, "You used to fight with my dad for money, now you're fighting with me for a woman. How could you be so despicable?" At this point, Gu Tingsan's eyes widened in shock, and he slapped him across the face. "You ungrateful son, what nonsense are you talking about? Your uncle never took a single thing from me, and from the very beginning, the man Siyue was meant to marry was your uncle." Gu Sinian stood frozen in place, momentarily speechless. Gu Huichuan looked at him coldly, "Apologize to Siyue, apologize to the Si family." People in the audience began pointing at Gu Sinian and whispering, "Isn't this young master of the Gu family too arrogant?" Exactly, the Si family saved the Gu family, and he dares to treat Miss Siyu like this. Doesn't he fear the Si family might change their mind? Hearing these words, Gu Tingsan quickly explained to my father, "Yaya will be my sister-in-law from now on, and I definitely won't let Sinian be so rude. Tonight, it's our fault for not disciplining him properly. In the future, we will definitely increase the Si family's share of the profits by another 20%. My father's face was like ice, his gaze sharp as a blade as he stared at Gu Sinian. Seeing this, Gu Tingsan grabbed Gu Sinian's shoulder and forced him to his knees. "You ungrateful wretch, apologize to your aunt this instant." Just then, Jiang Yanting suddenly dropped to her knees before me, tears streaming down her face like rain. "What does this have to do with Sinian?" "It's all because Siyue didn't make things clear to him, that's why he misunderstood. Sinian has never suffered a single grievance since he was a child. How could he possibly kneel to a woman? I'll apologize on his behalf." The moment the words left her mouth, Madame Gu kicked her to the ground, pointing a trembling finger at her. Madame Gu seethed, "If it weren't for you, you little tramp, Siyue would be my daughter-in-law right now. This is all your fault. You seduced my son and addled his mind. Get out of my sight." Jiang Yanting lay on the floor, looking up at Gu Sinian in anguish, only to find him staring blankly at me, not sparing her a single glance. She panicked, scrambling to Gu Sinian's side, tugging at his sleeve. "It's okay, brother Sinian, I'll marry you. I won't betray you like Siyue did." Gu Sinian abruptly shook off her hand. "No, how could Siyue betray me?" Jiang Yanting tried to take another step forward, but was kicked again by Madame Gu. "From today onwards, the Gu family won't give you a single cent, and I'll make sure the entire industry knows what kind of person you are." Jiang Yanting turned pale with fear, quickly hiding in Gu Sinian's embrace, sobbing, "I won't leave brother Sinian, never." Gu Sinian pushed her away forcefully. "Yanting, go get the Gu family's wedding dress back. Siyue must have chosen this cripple because she doesn't have the dress." Madame Gu's face turned ashen in an instant. "That's a family heirloom passed down from our ancestors. How dare you even mention it?" Gu Tingsan sighed deeply and waved to the people behind him. "Take him back and let him reflect on his actions." Gu Sinian had no strength to resist, only muttering to himself, "How could this happen?" The wedding continued after he was taken away. I walked through all the procedures, arm in arm with Gu Huichuan. I heard him whisper in my ear, "I've liked you since 10 years ago." When we returned to the Gu family villa, Gu Sinian was sitting at the door. He saw us, changed from his previous manic demeanor, and obediently called out, "Auntie, 7. I responded with an emotionless and walked straight inside. Gu Tingsan visibly relaxed at the sight of this. He quickly walked over to me, lowering his voice to say, "Yeah, Huichuan, ever since the accident, he's been in really bad shape, but tonight he seems a bit better." I hope you can help him through this in the future. He's my only brother, and I don't want to see him like this." Back in the room, after thinking about it, I finally spoke up. "Huaichuan, it seems your older brother isn't as wary of you as people say. He seems to really care about you." Gu Huaichuan was silent for a moment, then looked at me and said, "I pretended to be paralyzed because I suspect that the person who hit me was Gu Xinyan. I didn't tell you earlier because I was worried you still had feelings for him." I recalled what Gu Xinyan had said in my previous life and nodded silently. Just then, the door was suddenly pushed open. Gu Xinyan walked in holding 2 glasses of wine, a strange smile on his face. "Auntie, I've come to apologize." "No need," I said coldly, without a second thought. "Get out, don't disturb us," he burst out laughing. "I called you auntie once, and you actually think you're my elder. See you I never realized you were so desperate, you'd even go for a cripple. Get out," Gu Huaichuan warned. Gu Xinian turned to Gu Huaichuan, laughing even more recklessly. "Uncle, the Gu family will all be mine from now on, so if anyone needs to leave, it should be you." Right." With that, he suddenly stepped forward, grabbing my chin. "I'm the one who dumps people. No one can dump me, not even you." His strength was immense, and I was pinned down on the table. Seeing this, Gu Huaichuan immediately rushed over and yanked him back forcefully. Gu Xinian crashed heavily to the floor, only to be immediately run over by Gu Huaichuan's wheelchair. A sharp, agonized scream tore from his throat. "You," Gu Huaichuan looked down at him from his superior position, "lay a single finger on my wife, and I will end you." Gu Xinian pushed himself up from the ground and spat. "You, what's a cripple like you going to do about it? I'm going to have my way with that lunatic Ciue right in front of you tonight. Let's see what you can do about that." He raised his foot to kick Gu Huaichuan, but to his shock, Gu Huaichuan suddenly stood up, seized his ankle, and twisted it backward. Gu Xinian was thrown heavily to the ground once more with a dull thud. He saw Gu Huaichuan standing tall and rigid, his face deathly pale, his voice trembling. "You, how can you be standing? That's impossible." Just then, Gu Huaichuan's phone vibrated. He glanced at the message and, without a word, scooped me up and headed out. As we passed Gu Xinian, his voice was laced with a bone-chilling coldness. "Your time is up." Carried by Gu Huaichuan into the living room, I saw Gu Tingson and Mrs. Gu coming down the stairs in their pajamas. "What's going on?" Their faces lit up with immense joy the moment they saw Gu Huaichuan standing. Gu Tingson looked at me in disbelief. Yeah, you're truly a blessing to the Gu family. As soon as you arrived, Huaichuan got better." Gu Huaichuan, however, remained silent, his cold gaze fixed on the staircase. Gu Tingson sensed something was off and whispered to me, "What's going on?" I recounted everything that had just happened in detail. After hearing this, Gu Tingson was so furious that he was trembling all over. "This beast, I'm going to beat him to death today." At that moment, a man in a black suit hurried over and handed a file envelope to Gu Huaichuan. Gu Huaichuan opened the envelope. Inside were copies of chat records and a USB drive. Gu Xinyan's face turned pale as soon as he saw those things. He dashed down the stairs, grabbed the photocopies, and tore them furiously, shouting, "You're slandering me, setting me up, then kicking me out so you can take over the Gu family's fortune, right?" Gu Huaichuan let out a cold laugh and directly plugged the USB drive into the computer. Soon, Gu Xinyan's voice clearly came through the speakers. "Hit him as hard as you can. I want Gu Huaichuan either dead or paralyzed. This way, he can't compete with my dad for the family fortune, and everything will be mine in the future." 8. Gu Tingson's face turned ashen after hearing this. He walked step by step towards Gu Xinian, raising his hand to deliver a loud slap. "So it was you. How dare you? Huaichuan is my own brother. Everything in the Gu family belongs to him as much as it does to me. I've never once thought he was trying to take anything from me. And he's your uncle, you monster. How could you lay a hand on him?" With every word, he landed a vicious slap. Gu Xinyan's face quickly swelled up like a balloon. Although Mrs. Gu was heartbroken, she could only turn her head away at this moment, tears streaming down her face. "You've really gone too far this time." It was then that Gu Huaichuan spoke up. "Actually, I wasn't completely unconscious that day. I clearly saw the Gu family emblem on the tire of a car. That hit me, so I'm certain it was someone from the Gu family. I just didn't know who exactly, so I pretended to be paralyzed to make the culprit let their guard down. I didn't believe it at first, but all the evidence pointed to Gussian." Gussian heard this and punched Gussian in the face, knocking him to the ground. At that moment, Jiang Yanting pushed the door open, holding her wedding dress. Seeing the mess and Gussian lying on the ground, she screamed and rushed over. "What are you doing?" She rushed to Gu Xinyan's side. Seeing his face covered in blood, she turned and shouted at Gu Tingson, "Uncle, how could you do this? He's your son, the sole heir of the Gu family. Gu Tingson stood his ground and let out a bitter, cold laugh. The heir? Is he even worthy? He slumped down onto the sofa. He's not my biological son at all, Mrs. Gu could hold back no longer. Covering her face, she sobbed. He's the child of an old friend. Back then, he was only a few months old, and we couldn't bear to see him helpless. Plus, I had been unable to conceive, so we took him in and raised him. I coldly stared at Gu Sinian, a sarcastic smile curling my lips. So it was fake after all. No wonder you're so obsessed with what you can't have. No, it's not like that. Gu Sinian frantically shook his head. You're lying to me. You must be lying to me. Jiang Yanting stood frozen in place. Even if he's not biologically related, the emotions we've shared over the years are real. She grabbed Gu Tingson's sleeve. Uncle, please, for the sake of living together for over 20 years, don't drive him away. Okay, get out. Gu Sinian suddenly erupted, pushing Jiang Yanting away. It's all because of you. If it weren't for your meddling back then, how could Siue and I have ended up like this? Get out of here. Go as far away as you can. Jiang Yanting staggered back 2 steps, biting her lips tightly. What about our child? Gu Si's movements suddenly stopped. In the next second, he lunged at Jiang Yanting, pinning her down, and his fists relentlessly pounded her abdomen. It's all your fault, he roared as he hit her. I thought I didn't love Siue, but I was wrong. It wasn't until I saw her about to marry someone else that I realized I could never live without her. It's all your fault. You're the reason I lost Siue. Jiang Yanting pleaded in agony, but Gu Sinian seemed not to hear her. His fist striking with increasing force. Soon, a pool of crimson blood began to spread beneath Jiang Yanting. Staring at the glaring pool of blood, Gu Sinian finally loosened his grip. It's gone. It's over. Now get the hell out of here. Everyone was stunned by his actions. It took them a long moment to snap out of it and think to call the police. When the cops arrived, they immediately handcuffed Gu Sinian and put him in the patrol car. Gu Tingson took a deep breath and handed the USB drive to the officer. Please investigate the Huichuan car accident as part of this case. After the police took Gu Sinian away, Gu Tingson slumped in his chair and looked at Gu Huichuan, saying, I actually saw long ago that Gu Sinian was no good. These years, I've been considering handing the company over to you. He let out a bitter laugh. It's better this way. I couldn't teach him, so let the law do it. A few months later, the news came. Gu Xingyan was sentenced to 10 years for attempted murder and intentional injury. Jiang Yanting's mental health deteriorated after her miscarriage and she was admitted to a psychiatric hospital. Thanks to my father's billion-dollar investment, the Gu family not only recovered but also achieved new heights of success. Naturally, our C family also reaped significant benefits. I suddenly realized that it's okay to make mistakes. You can always choose again. That's it for the first story. Don't go away. The next one is even more exciting. I was reborn back to the 2nd year of my marriage, and my husband brought home his adopted son. Xiao Hao also accompanying them was his first love, Wang Yanan. He told me before I could even make a fuss, your grandfather was a landlord, with a bad background. I married you despite the pressure, so now you owe me a favor. He used my salary to take her to the doctor, forgetting that I was coughing up blood multiple times at night due to pneumonia. Without even blinking, he bought the 28-inch bike I had been nagging about for 2 years. Except the one on the bike was Wang Yanan and her child. I didn't say much. I just quit my job, asked a judge I know to help me with the divorce papers, and then leased a plot of land in the suburbs to start a nursery. What are men worth? In this second chance at life, all I want to do is make money. Lily, come quick and see who's in the house. I had just gotten off my shift at the hatchery and was dragging my exhausted body home when my husband pulled me into the living room. Auntie Sue, how missed you so much. The child I'd been supporting for 2 years threw himself into my arms, nuzzling his face against mine affectionately. Today was supposed to be a wonderful day, celebrating How officially becoming our son, but now, a chill ran down my spine. I pushed How away and turned to the woman sitting at the table, demanding, who is she? Actually, I know who that woman is. In my previous life, she annoyed me for a lifetime, and I can't forget her no matter what. Oh, she's Hao's mom. Seeing Wang Yanan's awkwardness at the dinner table, Liao Jie gave an embarrassed smile, stepped forward, and put his arm around her shoulder in a natural and intimate manner. I sneered inwardly, but feigned confusion on my face. But didn't you say 2 years ago that Xiao Hao was an orphan? How did a mother just appear out of thin air? No sooner had the words been spoken than Wang Yanan stood up. It's my fault. Back then, I had no choice. I couldn't raise Hao, so I had to leave him at the orphanage gate. I finally managed to save up some money, and it's all gone on my medical bills. Me, Liao Jie grew anxious, furrowing his brow as he gently helped her to sit down. "Lily, you have no idea how much she's suffered all these years, just let her stay for now, until she finds a job." He was handsome with a fine figure, standing beside Wang Yanan, his shadow fell across her shoulder, making them look every bit the devoted couple watching them. My eyes suddenly stung with tears. In my past life, it was like this, letting her stay, and then letting her stay some more, until she simply never left. And since Hao was her son, he naturally favored her even more. After he started working, he even bought a small villa and moved Wang Yanan and my husband in go live there. My social media feed is always filled with their happy family photos of three, while I don't even have a child of my own, and I can't get a divorce either, because Liao Jia is afraid that if we divorce and he gets together with Wang Yanan, people will point fingers and call her the other woman. But if we stay married, people will just think their closeness is because of their adopted son. Hao, when asked why I don't appear in photos, he says I'm introverted, don't like taking pictures, and don't like moving around. Thus, the reputation of being jealous and petty has been weighing on me for life now. As I listen to Liao Jia's defense, I just ask, "Honey, are you really not acquainted with this Miss Wang?" Liao Jia nodded decisively, but when I pulled out their childhood photo from under the bed, he suddenly became furious with embarrassment. "Xu Lili, you went through my stuff, how despicable, and considering your background, it's no surprise your manners are lacking." I must have been blind. After being stripped of his facade, Liao Jia began to spout insults incoherently. He said my family background was tainted because my grandfather had been a landlord. After he was brought down, my family fell apart and became an object of scorn for everyone around us. Liao Jia's parents were both pure, salt-of-the-earth farmers with a clean family history. Originally, they looked down on someone like me, but later, I guess he heard the news that his first love had gotten married. It must have been a shock, because he actually threatened to kill himself to force his parents to agree to our marriage. Despite all the backbiting, he still hosted several tables of wedding banquet on his wedding day. He said, "Lily, don't worry, your husband will always support you and protect you." But now, the one who promised to protect me has stabbed me in the heart just because I exposed his lies. My heart was bleeding, yet I forced a smile and pretended everything was fine. With Wang Yanan watching, I had no choice but to desperately cling to that pathetic shred of dignity. "Su Lily, speaking of the past," Liao Jia paused, as if remembering something, and looked up at me. "Back then, I married you despite the pressure because of your background. Now, consider this as you repaying me. Let Yanan stay." I couldn't help but laugh at this absurd statement. We are husband and wife, and family, yet he's here bargaining with me for a favor. Even he stopped calling her wife and started calling her by her full name. "Su Lily, was it because he was afraid I would make things difficult for his first love?" "Sure, then stay." I nodded and turned to leave. "It's just, there's no place for me in this home anymore." Liao Jia didn't follow. From behind, the sounds of chairs scraping and dishes clattering even began to rise. "It's fine, let's eat first," he said to the mother and son, his tone casual and light. I clearly saw through his character in my previous life. So why can't I stop crying now? Perhaps it's because this body is still the younger me, deeply in love with Liao Jia. Without any money, I can't afford a hotel. The only place I can think of is my old mountain home 30 kilometers away. Grandma is there by the light of the moon. I gritted my teeth and walked for half the night, finally arriving back at my hometown at the first crow of the rooster. It was clearly the middle of the night, yet a light was still on in Grandma's room. She was even sitting alone in the courtyard, lost in thought. Seeing my disheveled state, Grandma began to cry. She said, "My dear Lily, that Liao Jia is a real piece of work." I was still wearing the factory's thin, dark blue work shirt, with yellow-black dust caked in my nostrils and at the corners of my mouth. My grandmother was heartbroken. She heated water for me to bathe and warmed up a meal, watching me wolf down the food. She couldn't stop sighing. "I told you, that boy isn't good enough for you." Originally, I had a high school diploma and could have found a decent job in a department store, but since Liao Jia's power plant was far from me, he found me a job at a chemical plant closer to home because he thought it was inconvenient. The air there was polluted, the tall chimneys constantly emitted foul odors, and there was a lot of dust. So I always looked dirty. Yet, for Liao Jia, I endured such a job for 30 years in my previous life. Now, I held my grandmother to comfort her. "It's all right, Grandma, I'll take care of this person and this job soon, I promise." After spending just one day back home, I had to return to work at the factory. Liao Jia didn't come to pick me up. It was Grandma who drove the ox cart to see me down the mountain. As I was leaving the village, a lot of people made snide remarks. "Oh, look who's putting on airs after marrying well. What a spoiled princess you are. Who do you think you are?" Poor Liao Jia, what rotten luck to end up with a wife like you. Grandma turned back, patted my hand, then spun around and lashed out at those people with her whip. Shoo, get away. What kind of filthy scum dares to crowd around my Lily? The men cursed and grumbled, but they couldn't stand the sting of Grandma's whip and soon ran off into the distance. Lily, that Liao Jia is no good. He's always been one to make your skin crawl. If you want a divorce, Grandma knows. Judge Zhang in the city, she can ask him to help you with the divorce papers. Back in the day, Grandma was a young lady of means. Now, though she tends sheep in her hometown, the connections her ancestors built are more than enough to help me solve the current predicament. She dropped me off at the gate of the chemical plant and then wobbled off toward the city. Driving the ox cart, I wiped my tears and turned to walk into the factory. When I got home from work that evening, I saw a new set of bowls and chopsticks on the table. Wang Yanan had bought them, and my husband kept praising her good taste. I'm tired of looking at the old dishes. It's nice to have something fresh. He packed the old bowls and chopsticks, stuffed them into a box, and carried it outside every day. The scrap collector passes by the door, and these old bowls and chopsticks were bought by me in the year of our marriage. Oh, by the way, this afternoon an old lady riding a bullock cart came to the door and cursed. So I splashed a basin of foot-washing water on her. Haha, she's so funny. Haha was bragging with his leg swinging on the chair, and without hesitation, I slapped him as soon as I heard it. Wah, Auntie Sue. The child was terrified by me. Covering their face as they stood up, Wang Yanan rushed over and hugged the child, weeping with nothing but hurt feelings. Lily, don't panic. Liao Jia had wanted to stop him, but was a second too late, regretfully standing up to explain. Maybe it wasn't Grandma. I ignored Liao Jia, struggling to steady my trembling body, and stared at Hao Hao, asking, what was that Grandma wearing? Hao Hao replied timidly, just a black coat with holes in it. Hearing that, my heart ached so much I burst into tears. So Grandma really had come here. I couldn't even bear to imagine how she must have come to the door, ready to stand up for me, only to have this kid throw a bucket of cold water all over her hopes. How did she manage to go back in the freezing cold, drenched in wet clothes? Thinking about this, my heart aches, and I want to rush out, but Liao Jia holds me back. Lily, don't worry, Grandma must have gone back by now. You have to work tomorrow. Stay calm. He tried to calm me down, and even Wang Yanan joined in the fun. Right, Lily, your grandma is fine. Hearing this, I looked at her. This afternoon, it was just you and your son at home. Why didn't you keep an eye on your son? Wang Yanan flushed, biting her lip in silence. Who told that old woman to insult my mom? She had it coming, Hao Hao retorted loudly, and even Liao Jia was on their side. You know, Lily, you're partly to blame for this too. If you hadn't gone and tattled to Grandma, Hao Hao wouldn't have. I directly shook off his hand. Get lost. I rushed to Hao Hao, grabbed his collar, and spoke word by word. All I ask is, over these 2 years, have I not brought you plenty of food every time I visited the orphanage? All your winter and summer clothes, including the jacket you're wearing now, were bought with my salary. How dare you use my things and show no remorse towards my grandmother? Wang Yanan wiped her tears, tried to pry my hand open, but couldn't, and then pouted. I turned to look at her. Don't act with me here. Your son was as timid as a mouse in the orphanage, and now he's doing things like splashing water on the elderly. Isn't this what you taught him? I know her intention was to deliberately have her son provoke me at the dinner table. Fine, I let go of her, and in Liao Jia's shocked gaze, I flipped the entire dinner table over. You got your wish. None of us are getting any peace tonight. The sound of shattering dishes was followed by food spilling everywhere, leaving the room in complete disarray. Su Lily, Liao Jia was at his breaking point. We haven't even had dinner yet. What's gotten into you? The scalding soup splashed onto my arm, leaving an angry red patch. When he saw it, his gaze softened again. Lily, come on now, don't be like this. He reached out to hug me as he always did, but I dodged his embrace. Things have gone far enough. I think it's time I spoke my mind. Liao Jia, let's get a divorce. I don't want to be with you anymore. Liao Jia paused, not quite processing what he'd just heard. After all, in his view, I should have considered myself lucky to marry into a respectable family like his. Lily, I'm sorry. It was my fault for not picking you up from your grandmother's this morning. He took out a silver bracelet from his pocket and put it on my wrist. This was his promise during this year's New Year's celebration, when he said, wait until I save up to buy a bracelet for Lily. Right now, I can only afford a silver one. In the future, I'll buy Lily a gold bracelet. Now, wearing this bracelet feels unbearably heavy on my wrist, as if my skin might burn through. Tears welled up uncontrollably, and I quickly removed the bracelet, handing it back to him, so I could free my hands to wipe away the tears. Didn't you hear me? I tried to speak again, my voice choked, but a sudden discomfort in my chest made me cough, and to my shock, I coughed up blood. Lily, I felt dizzy, and he helped me to bed. This pneumonia, why does it keep coming back? He frowned and skillfully brought me the spittoon, then stroked my hair. Lily, I was wrong. No sooner had he spoken than Xiaohao's wail echoed from the living room. Mom, what's wrong? Liao Jia, who was beside her, instantly rushed out. The next morning I woke up, with medicine and a glass of water by my bedside. The house was empty, and the living room was still messy. Liao Jia also left me a note. He said that Wang Yanan, due to severe tinnitus, would be hospitalized for treatment. The textile mill where Yanan used to work was filthy and exhausting. Just look at her rough hands and weary expression, and you'll understand how tough her life has been. It hasn't been easy at all. Also, I didn't have enough money, so I came back to take your wages from the last 2 months. Just keep wearing that bracelet. I promised I'd buy it for you. I watched, unable to help but smile bitterly. Every word was filled with concern for Wang Yanan. Use my salary to treat her. I can't even bear to treat my own lung disease, saving money to live a better life. So he just handed it over, fresh and ready, for someone else to use. Liao Jia, have you forgotten? I got this pneumonia from working at the hatchery. After resting for a long while, I got up, tidied the living room, and then headed in the direction of the hatchery. It's already high noon. I'm definitely going to get an earful from the foreman again, but it's fine. I was going there to resign. After handing in my resignation, I made another trip downtown. When I came home in the afternoon, I had Judge Zhang with me. Liao Jia was in the kitchen cooking with Xiaohao. When he saw me come in, the first thing he asked about wasn't my health. Did you leave early today? He frowned. What if this affects my pay, this month and next? The family really needs the money. I couldn't be bothered to respond, covering my mouth and coughing. Lily, I'm sorry, are you feeling better? He came to his senses and helped me sit down. It was then that he noticed Judge Zhang behind him. Who is this? He asked. He didn't stand up until Judge Zhang told her about my intention to divorce, as if he had just heard the most ridiculous joke. That's impossible. What kind of talk is divorce? Besides, Lily and I have only been married for 2 years, and we're perfectly happy. Why on earth would we get a divorce? Uncle Zhang looked at me, then turned to ask him, but this is your wife's wish, and you don't care at all. Liao Jia was stunned, and the next second he quickly denied him. Don't talk nonsense. Anyway, as long as I don't sign, who can make us divorce? Uncle Zhang pushed his glasses. Today, I'm here to investigate, to check if your marital relationship is harmonious, and to ask your units about each of you. About myself, asking the neighbors about your well-being. Anyway, if my investigation reveals that the facts are indeed as your wife said, you might want to consider signing. Uncle Zhang left, and Liao Jia looked at him as if he were crazy, not taking it seriously. Lily, recently, you might need to hurry home to cook after work. I need to take care of Yanan, cook something light for her. The doctor said she can't have anything spicy. He didn't finish, and I responded indifferently. I quit my job. Liao Jia is furious because now he has to shoulder all the burdens of the household alone, but thinking of our family's current situation, he gritted his teeth and tried to placate me. Fine, I'll earn the money, that works out. You can handle the cooking and look after Xiaohao. He needs to get ready for school. I shook my head and looked up at him. You'll have to sort out your own meals. I won't take care of Xiaohao either. And I won't touch a single cent of your money. Liao Jia froze. Then what are you going to do? I said slowly. I'm going to start a business. I need to make money. And then, leave you. Liao Jia suddenly laughed, then began to criticize. You're speculating and engaging in shady business, not doing honest work. I retorted. Don't you know that many people in the southeastern coastal areas are doing business now? Seeing his stunned expression, it dawned on me. Yes, he doesn't know. To him now, the city felt vast, the provincial capital seemed distant and bustling, and beyond that lay a world unknown. But I was different. I possessed memories from decades into the future. The country is now pushing hard for urban development, creating a huge demand for landscaping. New plants are needed for roadsides and parks everywhere. So, given my current capabilities, the way to make money is to lease a plot of land and start a nursery. After all, in 4 years, Kunming, the provincial capital, will host a grand World Horticultural Expo. If I start now and everything goes smoothly, by 1999, I can leverage the expo platform to expand and strengthen my nursery business. Liao Jia doesn't have time to ponder my words. He's busy with work every day and takes care of Wang Yanan after work. As for Xiaohao's meals, they are entrusted to the hospital cafeteria. I went back to my hometown and explained the situation to my grandmother. She was very supportive of my divorce. When she heard I planned to start a business, she sold off all the family's cattle and Sheep in one go. She even gave away the land and the old family home. All that money added up to a surprisingly substantial sum. Grandma dumped everything into my hands, scratching her head as she spoke. Grandma finally got to put down these heavy burdens. From now on, whatever Lily does, Grandma will help her with. My grandma and I found a piece of land in the suburbs, since winter was approaching. The owner quickly agreed to lease it to me when I mentioned it. My grandma and I spent some money, bought bricks, and built a small house on that piece of land. All our living expenses for the coming years will be covered there. Later, we bought some plastic film and carried many bamboo poles that were 3 or 4 meters long. These are what I plan to use for greenhouse seedling cultivation. The field has been tilled, and there's a river right next to it, so irrigation won't be an issue altogether. These scattered tasks took us a month. Next, we need to choose the species of seedlings. There are 2 methods: seeds and cuttings. Coincidentally, I have a classmate who works in the municipal bureau. He's the one in charge of this area. I plan to ask that friend to borrow some seeds and cuttings. Before that, I was running low on money, so I went back home. I never expected to see what I saw. On the day I returned home, it was snowing, a rare occurrence. The house was filled with lively chatter, and it sounded wonderfully warm and cozy. It seems Wang Yanan has been discharged from the hospital. I pushed the door open against the wind and snow, and the icy air swept through the room, dispelling the warmth inside. Wang Yanan was nestled in Liao Jia's arms, watching her son bounce around with a look of pure contentment. And there, on her wrist, was the very bracelet Liao Jia had once given me. Before leaving home, I slipped the bracelet under my pillow. Somehow, she ended up wearing it. Maybe the bracelet was a bit too glaring. I rubbed my eyes, feeling a sudden dryness. Liao Jia immediately let go and backed away from Wang Yanan. Then, he came over and took my hand. "Lily, you're back so late, you must be freezing." I ignored him, sidestepped past, disregarded the disappointment on his face, and walked into the room. "Lily, you're never around this month. What have you been up to?" He followed me in, closed the door, and wrapped his arms around me from behind. I stuffed the remaining money I had into an envelope, tucked it into my shirt, and then pushed him away. "What are you doing?" He clearly saw my actions and his face grew tense. "Lily, are you really going to leave me?" Liao Jia's voice trembled. "Sue Lily, just for your so-called entrepreneurial plan." I shook my head. "Our relationship is already broken. I don't need you anymore." Liao Jia, as I spoke, I walked out of the room and was grabbed by him outside. "Our relationship is over." He looked furious. "Sue Lily, have you forgotten who it was that married you without caring about your background? What did you promise back then? You said you wanted to be with me forever." His tone intensified, startling Wang Yanan and her son. "Here we go again. Give it a rest, will you?" I frowned, pulling my arm free from his grip, and rubbed my sore wrist before looking up at him. "That's right. I'm the one who changed first. Happy now. It's me who doesn't know what's good for me. It's me who has no class. I admit it all. So it's okay if I, the uncivilized one, leave now, right?" With that, I opened the outer door. Liao Jia gritted his teeth and called out to me again. This time, his tone had calmed down. "Before you go, explain the burn on Xiaohao's arm." He lifted Xiaohao's wrist, tore off the bandage to show me, revealing a burn. "Sue Lily, you knew I didn't have time to take care of Xiaohao. Why didn't you help him set up the coal for heating? In this era, the only way to stay warm during winter at school is to bring your own pre-burned coal, carrying a discarded tin can, about the width of a palm, with wires attached on both sides as handles, to school. During class, the makeshift little stove could be placed under the legs for warmth, and Xiaohao, because no one was at home, had to make this little stove himself, which led to a burn on his arm." But, I frowned, looking at him helplessly. "Does it have anything to do with me that your first love's son got hurt?" Liao Jia gave a cold laugh and gripped my hand again. "Of course it's your business. You're his foster mother, so his injury is your responsibility." I laughed in anger. "What about you? The foster father. If your mind isn't on your foster son, aren't you responsible too? What about you, his own mother?" I turned to look at Wang Yanan. "He is your biological son. Did your ear surgery leave you crippled, or did your mouth go mute during your hospital stay? Couldn't you even ask how your own son was doing? Ask how your own son is doing." "Oh, I see." I looked at her with sarcasm. "All your thoughts are on seducing my husband. As for your son, you've already abandoned him once. Do you really care if you do it again?" "Do it again." My words made both the mother and son turn pale. Obviously, Xiaohao glanced at his mother silently, inevitably creating a rift. "Shuli, don't interrupt." Liao Jia pulled my attention back. "Today, you either give an explanation before leaving, or leave all the money in your pocket for Xiaohao as medical fees." I frowned. I still needed this money for buying seedlings and treating people to meals. "You're unwilling to pay. aren't you, Liao Jia? Let out a breath, speaking slowly by my ear with a hint of madness. If you don't pay, you're not leaving, stay by my side. I looked up at him, and his demeanor reminded me of how he once insisted on marrying only me. Could it be that Liao Jia would ever be reluctant to let me go? Unfortunately, right now, all I want is to leave as soon as possible and get on with my own life. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Wang Yanan, who had been watching from the side, hurried to answer it as if sensing something. Liao Jia shouted from behind, Yanan, don't open the door. Unfortunately, the door opened and came Judge Uncle Zhang, covered in snow and wind. I'm here today to handle the divorce proceedings between you two. He pulled out a photocopied civil mediation document from his coat and then slowly turned to Liao Jia. Just now, outside, I think I heard you say something about not letting someone leave unless they pay. Are you extorting or threatening them? His gaze was scrutinizing. Liao Jia's lips turned pale, and then he quickly shook his head and let go of me. It's not true, Your Honor. Seeing Uncle Zhang take out the papers, he finally believed it, looking at me with an incredulous gaze. Xu Li, are you serious? You really want a divorce? Judge Zhang gave a cold laugh and gestured for us to sit down. I've looked into everything. Neither of your workplaces is very familiar with your family affairs, but as of now, your characters are being evaluated. The price is actually quite reasonable. Your neighbors confirmed it. Wang Yanan was indeed your first love, and you were the one who brought her back. Because of her and her son, you and Su Lily argued constantly. Your relationship was genuinely broken. I've even been to Xiaohe School, and the hospital where Wang Yanan had her surgery. Liao Jia's head drooped lower and lower due to these words, and finally interrupted Judge Zhang. Judge Zhang stared at him and asked, Liao Jia, is it true that your relationship with your wife, Su Lily, has broken down? Is it true that you fell in love with your first love during your marriage and brought her home? The room was very quiet, except for the howling wind outside. Judge James' voice was authoritative, and Liao Jia reluctantly glanced at me before finally nodding in acknowledgement. There were indeed disputes, but it was all due to a moment of folly on my part. Judge Zhang shook his head, and Liao Jia clenched his teeth, picked up the pen, and signed his name on the mediation document. After signing, I held the divorce agreement, unable to react for a long time. Did I really get divorced? Great. Overjoyed, I couldn't help but smile and turn to look at Liao Jia. It seemed like my smile hurt him. For the rest of the afternoon, Judge Zhang stayed in the house, helping us divide the marital property. Everything, from the large wardrobes, tables, and chairs down to the pots, pans, and dishes, was split right down the middle. Liao Jia leaned against the doorframe of our room, looking unsteady on his feet, as if he was coming apart at the seams. Outside, dusk began to fall. The streetlights flickered on, casting the world in a warm, golden glow. I was so excited that I paid a man to help me tie all the sorted furniture onto the ox cart. I plan to move all my things back to the nursery tonight. Grandma is still waiting for me to come home. Judge Zhang has also gone back, with systems still being imperfect in many areas. A judge like him has to run around personally, investigating all sorts of disputes. Lily, just as I was about to leave, Liao Jia called out to me. I turned around, and he suddenly seemed to stumble over his words. Dinner's ready inside. Maybe you could stay and eat with us before heading back. He gestured toward the dining table behind him, where Wang Yanan and her son were sitting. For a fleeting moment, it felt as if I had been transported back to my past life. Every time I drove Liao Jia to the little villa reserved for the three of them, he would always call out and ask me to stay for dinner. Back then, I would look past his shoulder at that mother and son, their faces wearing identical expressions of guarded resistance. Now, having lived a life over, I don't even need to look to know the expression on their faces. How ridiculous, fighting over a single man. Do they really think he's some kind of treasure? Just as I had countless times in my past life, I turned Liao Jia down. No need, Grandma is waiting for me to come home for dinner. Well, it's snowing so heavily outside, perhaps you could stay the night. He stammered out the question. I turned and gave him a cool, indifferent glance, which doused his hopes like a bucket of cold water, and he fell silent. It dawned on Liao Jia that we were already divorced. That night, after dinner, Grandma and I worked through the night to move all that furniture downstairs. We kept moving things until the early hours, then finally pulled out some bedding, laid a couple of planks across, and made do with that for the night. Before we slept, Grandma stroked my head and sighed with feeling. My dear Lily has grown up, and Grandma is so proud. No matter what dear Lily does, Grandma supports you and stays by your side. The next day, Grandma accompanied me, trudging through knee-deep snow, to ask a classmate who works at the Municipal Bureau for Tree Seedlings this winter. Grandma and I spent every day in the greenhouse. Many small seedlings were moved in, seeds were sewn, and some were prepared for cuttings. During this time, Liao Jia came once, riding the 28-inch bike I had been nagging about not buying for over 2 years. On the back seat of the bike sat Wang Yanan and her son. They stood on the high embankment, and my grandmother and I came out of the greenhouse, squinting at them in the snow. Liao Jia just stood there for some reason, silent and staring in our direction like a block of wood seething with resentment. In stark contrast, Wang Yanan and her son were laughing and playing nearby. Once they tired themselves out, they came to stand beside Liao Jia, watching my grandmother and me. That silver bracelet was still on Wang Yanan's wrist, looking even more glaring against the snow. The thought of her wearing something that was once mine turns my stomach. Grandma saw right through me and yelled out a scolding, "What are you doing, flaunting that cheap bracelet? This old woman has seen all the fine gold and jade there is to see. Disgusting." Liao Jia jolted awake and glanced back at Wang Yanan. Later, they left. The cold wind howled for months, and my grandmother and I endured for months. Finally, as spring arrived, the seeds sprouted, and the cuttings began to sprout green leaves. Before that, my grandmother and I had been nurturing dozens of pots of forsythia and azaleas in the adjacent shed, their plump buds ready to bloom, ready to bloom. The classmate from the municipal bureau contacted us on their own initiative, saying that the city needed winter jasmine and azaleas for a section of road, and we happened to have them at the perfect time. My grandma and I were overjoyed. That day, the classmate brought people to pick up our flowers, and my grandma and I happily helped move them all morning. This was our first business deal, and the profit far exceeded several months of my salary. Grandma held my hand and instructed, "Don't spend this money on food or drinks. Let's buy flower seedlings." I nodded, stuffed the money into my pocket, and when I looked up, I saw Liao Jia on the distant embankment. This time, he was riding a bicycle and wasn't accompanied by Wang Yanan and her son. He came down and initiated a conversation with me. I've already told Yanan to take off the bracelet," he said flatly. Even though we had been husband and wife for 2 years, he was uncharacteristically nervous facing me. Seeing him try to shove the bracelet into my hands, I quickly stepped back. "Don't, it disgusts me," I said with disgust, finally venting the resentment that had been festering inside me. "Don't worry, I had it cleaned. The bracelet is perfectly clean, or I could buy you a new bracelet," he pleaded with me urgently. "Lily, she put that bracelet on herself. I didn't even notice," I chuckled. "So how did she know the bracelet was under my pillow? Did she rummage through the bed or roll around on it?" Liao Jia's face turned red, and he remained silent. I gave him a disdainful look and spoke slowly. "No need to buy me a silver bracelet, because I can now afford a gold one myself." Liao Jia seemed quite shaken. For a long time after that, he never showed up by the field ridges again. Time flew by. In the first year, my grandmother and I broke even. The following year, we leased another plot of land in the suburbs, which became our second nursery. At the same time, the majority of the city's landscaping projects were supplied by our 2 nurseries. My grandma and I couldn't handle it alone, so we hired 4 or 5 people to help. In the 3rd year, I bought my grandma a small house in the city. She's getting older and isn't as strong as she was a couple of years ago, but grandma wasn't happy about it and waved her cane to hit me. She said, "Don't think grandma is too old. She can do anything with good Lily." I choked up, nodded vigorously, and never again told grandma to rest on her own. I heard that Liao Jia was laid off from the power plant this year, so he went to the chemical plant where I used to work every weekend. After work, he would ride that old 28 bicycle to the nursery in the suburbs to see me. He remained standing far off on that ridge. The saplings in the nursery had grown taller than me. Not wanting to see him, I deliberately stooped as I walked, hiding myself among the trees, and so, Liao Jia stood there frowning until dusk fell, before finally hanging his head and turning back. The 4th year, 1999, had arrived. The provincial capital's World Horticultural Exposition was finally about to open. I'd been preparing for this exhibition for 3 years. And now, I'm filled with excitement. The day before I was set to buy clothes for my grandmother and head to the provincial capital, Liao Jia found me. At the time, my grandmother and I were living in a small villa, and I had no idea how he found us, but there he stood outside the courtyard, not saying a word. There were faint coughs in the background. I walked over and asked him what was wrong, and to my surprise, he started crying. "Lily, it's been 3 years since our divorce. Do you still hate me?" Liao Jia's voice didn't sound as strong as before, and he seemed a bit shorter. He was still wearing the blue work clothes from the chemical plant, but his face was clean, with a few droplets of water. Likely to see me, I washed my face on the way. I didn't answer him because it wasn't necessary. I feel neither hate nor love for him now. He is like air to me, causing no stir in my heart. When I didn't respond, he coughed again, covering his mouth. When he opened his hand, there were streaks of Blood, Lily, just like you. I've been working in the chemical plant for too long and developed pneumonia. Has your pneumonia gotten better? He asked softly. I replied, all better now. The second year I started earning money, Grandma took me to the hospital and got it fixed. Liao Jia nodded, then turned and patted his old-school bicycle. Lily, I just realized, the road from the fertilizer plant back home is so rough. The gravel is sharp, it really hurts to walk on. No wonder, for those first 2 years of our marriage, you kept pestering me to buy you a bicycle. All the money we managed to save, it all went on my medical bills. I'm so sorry, Boer. I'm sorry, Lily. Back then, when I said your family background was bad, those words hurt you. The truth is, it wasn't that I looked down on you. I felt inferior. You're well educated, clever, and now you've even got a real head for business, making money. Actually, when I married you before, it wasn't just out of spite. I really liked you. Seeing that I didn't speak, he coughed and reached through the railing to touch me. Lily, are you listening? My mind was already miles away at tomorrow's exhibition. I just nodded absently. I sent Wang Yanan and her son away. After taking them to see you, I gave her a piece of my mind. When I heard what Grandma said and saw the look on your face, it really got to me. Suddenly, I started to resent Wang Yanan. He spoke with such deep feeling, yet I suddenly let out a laugh. Liao Jia paused for a moment, and I met his gaze. What's the point of saying all this now? Who are you trying to impress with your deep feelings? Liao Jia, you're fundamentally a greedy person. In reality, you know everything in your heart. You know my grievances and concerns, and you know Wang Yanan's tactics, but you're addicted to it, aren't you? Because no matter how much we fight, you're always the one who comes out on top. But now, our delicate balance is shattered, with only Wang Yanan by your side. You're just picking which of us is better. People only start using their thick skulls after they've lost something. But so what? I shot him a look of utter indifference. Someone like you deserves to live in regret forever. Go live your miserable life. Liao Jia, don't mess with mine. That night, Liao Jia crouched under the fence for a long time, until the early hours of the next morning when he had to go to work at the chemical plant, before he finally left on his bicycle away. Meanwhile, I had already slept soundly, done my makeup, put on the clothes I bought with my grandma, and set off with her on the train to the provincial capital. The expo has begun, and I'm feeling confident. That's it for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Feel free to leave any suggestions in the comments below. See you in the next video. Story 2. On the day of their third wedding anniversary, he spent the entire night with his white moonlight. And the most ridiculous part was that everyone knew about their relationship, while I, the legally married wife, was treated like a shameful mistress. I moved out of his villa that very night, drafted a divorce agreement, and had it delivered to him, only to receive his call the next moment, asking me to come to his office. When I entered his office, Bo Jingzhou was playing with the divorce agreement between his fingers. His expression gave no hint of joy or anger as he calmly read out the reason for the divorce: 3 years of marriage with no sexual life, failing to meet the most basic needs of the wife, and suspicion of male dysfunction. After finishing, he looked up at me and said, word by word, explain what this means. I pursed my lips and answered him without any trace of submissiveness, it means exactly what it says. Bo Jingzhou gave me a deep look and continued reading the document. When he reached the section on property division, a chill flickered in his eyes. It seems your 3 years as my assistant weren't wasted. You really know my assets inside and out. But Shen Wanzi, do you really think you can take a single penny from me? I had long been prepared to walk away with nothing, and I was completely unfazed by the prospect. But my indifferent attitude struck Bo Jingzhou as a provocation. His long, bony fingers reached out and gripped my chin. What will you live on without me? He sneered. On that 5,000 a month salary, forget rent, could it? Even by the necklace you're wearing. The scorn dripping from his words was unmistakable. I tried to turn my head to break free from his grasp, but it was no use. His grip only tightened, the pain sharpening. I could only grit my teeth and say, this is my business, don't you worry about it. Bo Jingzhou sneered, his entire being radiating a fury that could tear me apart. Have you found someone else to take over? Seeing that I remained silent, Bo Jingzhou took it as an admission. He suddenly smiled, his thin lips curling into a mocking smirk. He released his grip on my chin and said, there's something you seem to be unclear about. You don't have the right to decide whether to divorce or not. There are still 3 months left on the agreement, but to me, it makes no difference at all. He hasn't treated me like a wife for the past 3 years, so what's another 3 months? His attitude now is just because I'm the one who filed for divorce. It bruised his ego and tarnished Jian Waning's reputation. Typical male pride. Looks like we won't reach an agreement on the divorce today. I might as well make my stance clear. No matter how much time is left, I am not moving back in. Bo Jingzhou looked down at her with a condescending gaze. Are you trying to tell me you want a separation? Hearing the word separation, my heart felt like it was being squeezed hard, aching with a sour, painful pang. After we got married, Bo Jingzhou's visits to the Yuding villa each year were so few I could count them on my fingers. It was practically no different from living apart. Anyway, there are only 3 months left. I don't see the point in living together. Bo Jingzhou stared at me for a few seconds, then sneered mockingly. Whether it's necessary or not is for me to decide. I'll have Chen Su approve 2 hours of leave for you today. Go pack your things and move back. My refusal was interrupted by a knock on the door. Chen Su reminded from outside. Mr. Bo, the meeting is about to start. Bo Jingzhou reattached the cufflinks he had taken off. Get out. I remained unmoved and insisted. Bo Jingzhou, I won't go back. Bo Jingzhou didn't take it seriously. Isn't this what you always say? This isn't the first time we've argued, nor is it the first time I've moved out, but each time I end up moving back in before long. I know he doesn't believe me right now, and I can't be bothered to argue, but he'll understand in time. This time, I really won't be going back. After leaving the office, I went to the restroom to touch up my makeup. Sure enough, the spot on my chin where he pinched me had turned purple. Just as I was about to head to HR with my resignation letter, someone called my name. Shenwanji, the printer's out of ink. Go change the cartridge. Now, we're waiting. I hear orders like this all day long. As Bo Jingzhou's personal assistant, my job is supposed to be managing his daily life, but Bo Jingzhou can't stand the sight of me. He has Chen Su handle everything personally. So I've gradually become the errand girl for the entire 36th floor. Shenwanji, go change the ink. It was Secretary Dai who called me, the one who usually despises me the most. Just a moment ago, she was the one sneering about my breakup with my rich boyfriend. Even if you're quitting, you should have some professional ethics, right? You haven't officially left yet. My job is to follow President Bo's instructions and manage his meals. What? Are you giving orders on his behalf now? Don't underestimate how coveted my position as a personal assistant is. This one right here would love to push me out and take over personally. Secretary Dai looked at me as if I'd seen a ghost. Shenwansi, did you get your brain smashed by a door today? In charge of Mr. Bo's meals, those takeout orders you made, when has Mr. Bo ever eaten them? Thinking about those meals thrown into the trash, it stung a little in my heart. The next second, a sharp pain hit my chest as Secretary Dai tossed the documents into my arms, speaking arrogantly. 20 copies need to be printed by 2 o'clock. Assistant Shen, one should value self-awareness. I frowned, hearing a noise behind me. Turning around, I saw Bo Jingzhou emerging from the office with Chen Su. His gaze met mine directly. The man curled his lips in a mocking sneer, his entire expression conveying one clear message. If you can't even handle menial tasks, what gives you the right to ask for a divorce? I let out a bitter laugh, right in front of Bo Jingzhou. I flung the documents back at that Secretary Dai before Secretary Dai could react. The papers scattered across the floor with a rustle. I turned and walked away, my voice trailing behind me. Secretary Dai, a person needs more than just self-awareness. They also need ears to listen. I won't be changing the ink, and I won't be printing those files. Go ahead, run and tattle to Bo Jingzhou if you dare. Oh, and by the way, he likes them big and brainless. You're certainly brainless, but you're a bit lacking in the other department. Since I'm leaving anyway, I don't care about offending anyone. It's worth it to take a jab at him before I go. Bo Jingzhou's face instantly darkened, his lips pressed together in a clear expression of displeasure. Later, I went to the HR department and submitted my resignation letter. The HR manager glanced at it and said to me, Assistant Shen, take this resignation letter back. As the personal life assistant to President Bo, his signature is required before HR can approve it. I didn't take it and bluntly said, I won't be coming tomorrow. You can count it as absenteeism or leave, whichever you prefer. The HR manager was stunned. This is a breach of contract. Even if you resign, there's a mandatory 2-week handover period. Is a handover even necessary for a job that just involves ordering someone's food? What's to hand over? What he doesn't eat? Well, Bo Jingzhou would probably starve, since I've already ordered every dish on the menu. I'm just going to throw in the towel, let him sue me. After leaving the Bo Corporation, I got a call from my best friend, Qin Yuezhi, asking me out for a drink. She'd probably seen yesterday's news and was worried I might be upset. I was a bit tired, so I declined. After returning to the hotel, I went straight to bed without even having dinner. I woke up groggily to a knock on the door, glanced at the time, and it was 7:50. I got up to open the door, and it was the hotel manager. He smiled apologetically and said, "Hello, Miss Shin, there's a problem with your room that needs to be inspected." I didn't make things difficult for him and simply asked, "Then please arrange another room for me." With that, I headed back to my room to pack my bags, but then the manager added, "I'm sorry, but the room is no longer available. We've refunded the money to your card, and since it was our mistake, we've also included the penalty fee." I stopped in my tracks. Bo Jingzhou had told me to be back at the villa by 8. And here was the manager trying to kick me out at 10 to 8. If I still didn't get what was going on, I'd have to be a complete idiot. Was that bastard Bo Jingzhou behind this? I refused to check out. I lost my temper and let out a curse. The manager didn't mince words. "Miss Shen, we're just a small business. Please don't make things difficult for me." A small business worth over 14 million. Even if I didn't agree to check out, there was nothing I could do. The hotel was adamant, willing to pay the penalty, and the maintenance workers were already at the door, saying there was an issue with the electrical circuit. If not fixed promptly, it could cause a fire. Finally, I dragged my suitcase out of the hotel, and the Bo family's car was already waiting outside. Uncle Jiang saw me and quickly got out to help with my luggage. "Madam, Mr. Bo sent me to pick you up." I dodged his hand. "Tell Bo Jingzhou I'm not going back." With that, I turned and headed to a nearby hotel. Uncle Jiang didn't stop me, and soon I knew why he didn't. The receptionist at a nearby hotel returned her card, apologizing. "I'm sorry, your card was just restricted. Could you use another one?" I used Bo Jingzhou's card. As for my own money, there's no need to waste it on a hotel. I called Qin Yuezhi and, knowing she was at home, drove straight over. Uncle Zhang's car was following behind the whole time, but I ignored it completely. When I got out of the car, I reached into the trunk for my luggage and accidentally scratched my hand on a decorative item. It bled, but fortunately, it wasn't serious. Qin Yuezhi lives on the 17th floor. Knowing I was coming, she left the door open. When I walked in with my luggage, Qin Yuezhi was taken aback. I hadn't mentioned bringing bags over the phone. "Looks like you've run away from home." Qin Yuezhi didn't even bother with her face mask, reaching out to take my luggage. "If you'd said you had bags, I would have come down to help." "And what happened to your hand?" Seeing her look of alarm as she went for the first aid kit, I stopped her. "It's fine, it's almost healed. Your hands are like gold nuggets. Can't you take better care of them? Look at those pianists. They'd probably take them off and put them in a safe every day." Afraid of the slightest damage, I laughed at her exaggerated manner, and the gloom of recent days lifted a bit. "This injury won't have any impact." Qin Yuezhi paused, and then she couldn't help but bring up something from before. "By the way, have you thought about what I told you last time?" I didn't say anything. "I still haven't made up my mind. Master Su has come to see me several times. His studio is one of the top in the country for cultural relic restoration, and only the best in the field can work there. For Master Su to personally come to you, that's quite an honor. If you weren't so reluctant to reveal your identity, I would have given him your contact information long ago. I specialize in cultural relic restoration and my skills are exceptional. I learned from my mother since I was young, and my techniques are unparalleled. I majored in this field in university, and after graduation, I planned to work in a museum, but then those events happened, and I had to marry Bo Jingzhou. These past few years, I've only been able to take on private jobs through Qin Yuezhi, working as a freelance restorer, but now, things are different. I'm getting a divorce, and it's time for a fresh start. I nodded at this thought. "You can agree on my behalf." You agreed. Qin Yuezhi didn't expect it to be so sudden. "I always refused before." "Give it a try. You can start reporting at any time, hearing at any time." Qin Yuezhi was shocked again. "Are you quitting your nanny job at Bo's?" "Well, I quit my job." I said it so casually, as if it wasn't me involved. Qin Yuezhi clicked her tongue, thinking of the trending news she saw this morning, and her mind had already conjured up many scenarios. She couldn't help but curse. "You should have left him long ago. That dog of a man, Bo Jingzhou, who never eats the meals you order but still makes you do it every time. He's such a hypocritical man. He should just be locked up with Jian Weining and never come out to mess with others. I think you should just get a divorce, since there are only 3 months left anyway." To avoid the heartache, I leaned back on the sofa, exhausted after a night of. I brought up the divorce, but he refused, saying he wants to wait until the agreement expires. Qin Yuezhi could only laugh at the thought. What a pretentious act. Back then, Jian Weining rejected his marriage proposal and insisted on going abroad to step onto the international stage. Now, he definitely won't let you divorce him so easily and then easily get together with her. Otherwise, he'd look so cheap. If he doesn't prove he's in demand, Jian Weining will dump him again next time. I hadn't thought about it that way, but now that Qin Yuezhi mentioned it, it suddenly clicked. Bo Jingzhou is up to no good. packaging himself with a fake persona. In my opinion, you shouldn't give him any face, before the official divorce. You should post the marriage certificate online and let the righteous netizens cyberbully this pair of scumbags to death, nailing Jian Weining to the pillar of shame as the third wheel. I shook my head, not thinking this was a good suggestion. Let's just leave those two to their own mess. If this blows up, I'll be the one who suffers when I try to date again. Qing Yueji's eyes lit up as she looked me over, hearing from my words that I was truly decided on leaving Bo Jingzhou. That's wonderful news, worth celebrating. Qing Yueji pulled a case of beer from the fridge, opened one, and handed it to me, toasting that my girl had finally escaped her misery. I was just about to go and answer the door when the doorbell rang. Who is it? Qing Yueji muttered as she went to open the door. Standing outside was Uncle Jiang, who looked different from before, his face a mask of sorrow. He leaned forward and said to me in the living room, "Madam, the young master is waiting for you downstairs and asks you to come down immediately." I frowned, not even turning my head, my tone tinged with impatience. Let him wait if he wants to. I have a bed to sleep in and wine to drink at home, while he's in the car, no matter how spacious. He can't lie flat. Who's afraid of whom? After saying that, I chugged the whole can of beer in one go. Jiangshi would never dare to pass on that message, unless he's tired of living. He could only sigh and add, "Earlier in the car, Madam called young master, and it seemed she wasn't feeling well." Before he could finish, my phone rang. It was Jiang Yazhu, Bo Jingzhou's mother. I can ignore Bo Jingzhou, but I can't ignore Jiang Yazhu's calls. Over these 3 years of marriage, Jiang Yazhu has treated me better than her own son, Bo Jingzhou. She sends me all the best and most expensive things, and every time they argue, regardless of the reason, Bo Jingzhou is the one who gets scolded. One CI. I called Jingzhou and he said, "You're not there. Has that rascal not come home again?" Probably only Jiang Yazhu in this world dares to call Bo Jingzhou like that. Every time she calls, she checks if he's come home. No, I'm at a friend's house tonight. It's her birthday and she's hosting a party. I didn't mention the argument and the potential divorce, afraid it might upset her. When Jiang Yazhu gave birth to Bo Jingzhou, she had a massive hemorrhage and suffered many complications, which have left her in poor health all these years. And Qing Yueji, who was unwillingly celebrating her birthday, rolled her eyes at me without hesitation when she saw me lying so calmly. Jiang Yazhu's voice came through the phone again. "After the birthday celebration, you should come back to the old house tonight. His dad is on a business trip, and I'm not feeling too well. I'm worried about her health." "Where does it hurt? Have you seen a doctor?" "No, it's not serious. I just bought a piece of jade at an auction last time and had it made into a small bell. Come back and see if you like it. You young people don't like bracelets or anything." After a 2-second silence, I replied, "Okay, if it was just about going back to pick something up, I would have declined, since we're about to divorce Bo Jingzhou." But Jiang Yazhu said she wasn't feeling well. Knowing she couldn't talk me out of it, Qing Yueji personally saw me downstairs, muttering under her breath, "I bet your mother-in-law did it on purpose." The familiar car was parked at the entrance of the apartment building. Bo Jingzhou leaned against the door, smoking a cigarette. Hearing the noise, he looked up, his eyes dark and inscrutable. The car ride was silent the whole way. The tense atmosphere was so thick that even Uncle Jiang didn't dare to change gears. It wasn't until the car pulled into the driveway of the suburban villa that he finally let out a long sigh of relief, got out, and went to open the car door. "I'm not as pretentious as Bo Jingzhou. I don't like being waited on like this." Just as I was about to open the car door, Bo Jingzhou spoke lightly. "Do I like big-breasted and brainless women?" I almost choked. If he hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten about it, saying that was purely to smear him. Who knows what he really likes? I turned around and saw Bo Jingzhou's gaze landing just below my collarbone. Whether intentionally or not, his look carried a hint of something else. This something else, I can interpret as disdain. Isn't it natural for men to like bigger ones? So after 3 years of marriage, he couldn't even muster the most basic desire for me. And it's not like Jian Weining has some incredible figure either. Bo Jingzhou frowned and said, "I don't like it." I just curled my lips into a smile. My beauty has always had an aggressive edge to it, and a smile like that would have most ordinary men completely spellbound. But Bo Jingzhou just looked at me indifferently, not a flicker of emotion in his eyes. I said, "Whether you like it or not is none of my damn business, but I like them big and well equipped. That's the main reason I'm divorcing you." Bo Jingzhou's face darkened instantly, and the atmosphere in the car visibly turned icy and tense. The car's soundproofing was poor, and Jiang Shu, standing outside, had overheard the conversation. Now, his forehead was covered in cold sweat. Seeing Bo Jingzhou on the verge of losing his temper, he mustered the courage to open the car door and announced, "Young master, young madam, we're home." I got out of the car first and saw Jiang Yazhu Walking out of the villa, her face warm with a smile, she took my hand and led me inside, saying, Wan, I had Aunt Wan make you bird's nest soup, and I added some beauty-enhancing herbs. Bo Jingzhou, still sitting in the car, was completely ignored. Once inside, Jiang Yazhu lowered her voice and asked, has that rascal been giving you a hard time? She had seen the news from yesterday, worried I'd be upset. She insisted we both stay at her place tonight. I opened my mouth, about to tell her that Bo Jingzhou and I were getting a divorce, but Jiang Yazhu cut me off. If that boy bullies you, you tell me. I'll have his father take a belt to him. Don't you go along with whatever he wants. I'll send you a menu later. It's all his least favorite dishes. Starting tomorrow, you order from it for him, a different one each day for a month. I'll also call Chen Su and tell him he's not allowed to sneak Bo Jingzhou any special treats, or he's fired. She didn't mention Jian Weining at all. Afraid it would upset me to hear her name, Aunt Wang approached the two of them with a shawl in hand. Madam, you weren't feeling well just a moment ago. How could you step out without a shawl? Young madam, you really must talk some sense into her. She doesn't take her own health seriously at all. And just like that, my chance to utter the word divorce vanished completely. Mother, where are you feeling unwell? Did you call for the doctor? Jiang Yazhu waved her hand dismissively. It's just the same old ailment. A bit of rest will set me right. There's no need to trouble a doctor to make the trip all the way out to this remote place in the dead of night. It was indeed quite late now. After Jiang Yazhu kept me company while I finished the bird's nest soup and fastened the little bell charm she had made onto my wrist, she went upstairs to bed. She glared fiercely at Bo Jingzhou as she left. You little brat. If you don't make one see I happy tonight, I'll beat you to death. Bo Jingzhou's hand suddenly paused. He hadn't spoken a word since he came back, and yet he still got caught in the crossfire. Bo Jingzhou and my room are on the second floor. Knowing they were coming back, Aunt Wang had already prepared the bedding. I went to get my pajamas to prepare for washing up, but when I opened the wardrobe, I found that my cotton pajamas were gone, replaced by various sexy silk v-neck nightgowns, including 2 sets of role-playing costumes everyone in the villa knew about. Jiang Yazhu's longing for a grandchild. Ever since we got married, she started preparing a nursery, buying mountains of toys and clothes in bulk, enough for both a boy and a girl, and now, these clothes were all part of her efforts to encourage us to start a family. I couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy for her. If she ever found out that our marriage had been sexless for the past 3 years, would she be so furious that she'd kick Bo Jingzhou, that useless pretty boy, right out the door? I glanced back at Bo Jingzhou and saw him staring at the closet full of clothes, his gaze as cold and detached as ever. He gave me a sidelong glance and said, these aren't for you. I picked out the most modest one from the bunch and was about to reach for it when Bo Jingzhou tossed one of his shirts at me. Wear this, he said. I took it. The man was tall and broad-shouldered, so his shirt would easily cover me down to my knees. It was definitely better than those odd nightgowns. Without making a fuss, I took the shirt straight to the bathroom. According to the law, I'm entitled to half of everything under Bo Jingzhou's name, so, by that logic, this shirt is basically mine. After drying my hair, I stepped out to find Bo Jingzhou standing on the balcony, smoking. The thin smoke enveloped his face, softening the sharpness of his features. I couldn't tell if it was just my imagination, but Bo Jingzhou's gaze seemed to deepen momentarily when it fell on me, though it was gone in an instant. The man snuffed out his cigarette and walked in, not stopping as he brushed past me and headed into the bathroom. I had long since grown accustomed to it. My heartache dulled to numbness, leaving me indifferent. Not long after, there was a knock at the door. It was Auntie Wang, carrying a bowl of soup. Young mistress, the madam made this for the young master herself. Please make sure he drinks it all. Don't let her efforts go to waste. She even burned her hand while preparing it. She may be sharp-tongued, but her heart is soft. She didn't say anything downstairs just now, but she's been worrying about the young master all along, afraid he isn't eating well outside. That's why she sent me up here with this. Right away, I nodded and took the bowl, understanding Jiang Yazhu's feelings perfectly. After all, he's her own son. How could she not be concerned? The man finished his shower quickly and came out to find the soup waiting on the coffee table. I said to him, your mother made this herself. You should drink it while it's hot. Bo Jingzhou glanced at it but said nothing, showing no intention of drinking. Seeing him like this, and reminded by Aunt Wang's words and the hurtful memory of him never eating my cooking all these years, I suddenly felt a surge of irritation. Bo Jingzhou, Mom burned her hand making this soup for you. How can you bear to disregard her heartfelt effort? The phrase, disregard her heartfelt effort, struck Bo Jingzhou as carrying a deeper, pointed meaning. He looked at me, the corner of his mouth quirking up in a faint, ambiguous smile as he Asked, "Do you really want me to drink it?" I didn't notice anything wrong with Bo Jingzhou's words, still fuming over his cold indifference, and grunted and annoyed him through my nose. Bo Jingzhou picked up the soup and drank it in one gulp, but when he set the bowl down, it clattered loudly due to the force. Then he pulled back the covers and lay down, while I turned my back to him, switched off my side lamp, and closed my eyes to sleep. This year, we occasionally shared the same bed, with enough space between us to fit 2 more people, but tonight was different. I was sleeping soundly when Bo Jingzhou suddenly moved closer, almost pulling me into his embrace, my back pressed against the firm wall of his chest, and even through 2 thin layers of fabric, I could clearly feel the contours of his muscles. His heavy, ragged breathing was right by my ear, making the very air in the room feel scorching hot. Before I could even react, something pressed against the small of my back. My mind went blank for a second before I instantly realized what was happening to him. "Bo Jingzhou." My voice trembled involuntarily, mostly from the sudden shock, but partly from nervousness, a fear that he might force the issue. I had once hoped for such a scene during the early days of our marriage, but over the years, his coldness had worn away even the remnants of that hope. Now that we're both on the verge of divorce, there's no room for such entanglement. Some mistakes are enough to make just once. The man's utterly hoarse voice resonated above me, carrying an undeniable air of dominance. In the next moment, Bo Jingzhou flipped over and pinned me down, looking into my eyes with a commanding gaze. I steadied myself and reached out to push him away. "I don't want to." "Isn't this a complaint that I didn't satisfy you when you had me drink that soup earlier? I thought you were so desperate you'd practically want to sit on top and take control yourself. Now you say you don't want to. Are you playing hard to get with me?" Bo Jingzhou's lips pressed against mine, his voice dripping with obvious desire, but his words grew more and more sarcastic with each syllable. "Even I'm not so naive as to not realize there's something wrong with that soup." I tried to explain. "I don't know. Do you think I'd believe that? You're not exactly new to this kind of thing." Every time that subject comes up, I'm overwhelmed by a profound sense of helplessness. He always, without fail, forces me to relive that night. Let me make this clear one last time. Back then, before I could even finish my sentence, Bo Jingzhou's kiss descended upon me, utterly silencing my words. I was stunned, pushing against his chest with all my might. I tried to shove him away, only to be met with a deeper, more forceful kiss. There was no tenderness, no gentle affection, only sheer, domineering possession. My lip was cut by the force of it, the faint taste of blood on my tongue. My head spun from the lack of air, dizzy and disoriented. It wasn't until his scorching hand pressed against my skin that I jolted back to reality with a start. The buttons of my blouse had been undone at some point without my notice. I turned my head away to stop his kiss. "Bo Jingzhou, let me go." My body twisted and struggled violently, using every ounce of my strength to break free from his hold. But women are naturally at a disadvantage in terms of physical strength. My desperate struggle was no match for even one of Bo Jingzhou's arms, which easily subdued me. Bo Jingzhou's lips, freshly kissed, were tinged with a faint crimson. He curled them into a half-smirk. "Wasn't your reason for divorce that I had a sexual dysfunction and couldn't satisfy your needs? Well, there's no dysfunction now. Your reason for divorce is invalid." He propped himself up on his elbows, kneeling on the bed, and gripped my chin, forcing my tilted head to face him and meet his gaze. Given our positions, what I could see was unmistakably clear. His voice held its usual icy detachment, yet every word grated against my frayed nerves. "Are you pleased with what you see?" My face was a mask of fury. Just as I was about to retort, Bo Jingzhou's phone rang. He reached over to the nightstand to grab it, and a slight frown creased his brow as he saw the caller ID. He was Jian Weining's agent. With a swipe of his finger, he answered the call. "What is it?" As Bo Jingzhou spoke, he tried to get up from me, but the woman who had been avoiding him suddenly reached out. As her soft hand settled on him, the man's body tensed instantly. He lowered his gaze, his dark eyes churning with a storm violent enough to shatter a person. A faint, grinding sound came from his tightly clenched jaw. The person on the other end of the line was still talking. I only caught the gist of it. Nothing new, just that Jian Weining was having another one of her episodes. The underlying message was clear. They wanted Bo Jingzhou to go check on her right now. Bo Jingzhou shot a warning glance at me in his arms, but I just tilted my chin up defiantly and answered his earlier question, more than satisfied. "And so, enduring, I can barely take it. Slow down a bit." I made sure my voice was loud enough for the person on the other end of the phone to hear every word clearly. "I did it on purpose. When you're fighting for a man, all's fair in love and war." Bo Jingzhou's Adam's apple bobbed. His hand gripping the phone tightened, and the knuckles of his fingers protruded. The voice on the other end came again. "Mr. Bo, If Wei Ning's leg is crippled, her dancing career is over. Back then, she endured a lot in secret, wanting to become an internationally renowned dancer as soon as possible, so as not to have people gossip about you because of her background. Now she's riddled with injuries and has to go for physical therapy every week. Bo Jingzhou pursed his lips, getting out of bed as he said, "Take care of her first." He was leaving, and I didn't stop him, knowing it was futile, so why humiliate myself? It's not like I wanted Bo Jingzhou back, I just wanted to get under Jian Weining's skin a little. Call it a small act of revenge. Bo Jingzhou changed his clothes and left without saying a single word to me. His wife, downstairs. Everyone was asleep, with only the emergency light still glowing. He walked to the entryway to change his shoes. With a soft click, the massive crystal chandelier in the center of the living room suddenly flickered to life. Jiang Yazhu stood at the kitchen door, holding the remote control for the lights. "Where are you going at this late hour?" Bo Jingzhou frowned. "Mom, why aren't you asleep yet? I'm asking you. Where are you going in the middle of the night, leaving Wan Ci behind?" Bo Jingzhou pursed his lips, his expression unchanged for a moment before he said, "I lost control for a moment and hurt her. I'm going to buy some medicine for her now." The remark was subtle, but Jiang Yazhu understood it immediately. After all, the 10 essential tonic soup was prescribed by a renowned doctor she sought out, so it must be effective. Her cold face instantly broke into a smile, but she still scolded, "Are you a reckless boy? Don't you know to be gentler? Go buy it quickly, and take Wan Ci along too. If it doesn't work, go to the hospital to check. It would be troublesome if it gets inflamed." Bo Jingzhou's expression suddenly showed a hint of distress, under Jiang Yazhu's eager gaze. He eventually called me and told me to change and come downstairs immediately. Hearing the unusual tone, I thought something had happened, so I quickly put on my clothes and ran downstairs. The last thing I wanted to see was Bo Jingzhou and Jiang Yazhu standing face to face. The man's low voice was unusually detached. "You're not feeling well. Come with me to get some medicine." Since when was I not feeling well? I glanced at Jiang Yazhu again and instantly understood. He'd been caught and was using me as a human shield. I rolled my eyes at Bo Jingzhou without a hint of courtesy. What a dog. Jiang Yazhu was completely oblivious to the undercurrents between the two of them, her heart brimming with joy. Instead, noticing my tight jeans, she hurriedly added, "Go home and change into something looser. Wearing such tight pants isn't good for your wound to heal. It's hot out, and keeping it all wrapped up like that could lead to an infection. I want to know what exactly is wrong with me." But Bo Jingzhou reached out and pulled me toward him. I lost my balance and stumbled right into his arms, where he wrapped an arm around my waist. "We'll be going now," he said. "You should get some rest." Jiang Yazhu glared at him. "Wan Ci is injured. Why are you still so rough? If the family doctor were a woman, I would have already called her to come over." "Do I need you for that?" Bo Jingzhou responded casually, and I was completely out of it. I forgot to resist when he wrapped his arm around my waist and led me out. "Wait." Jiang Yazhu remembered something important, rushed to the kitchen, and came back with a bag of herbal medicine. "If it works well, take it back. Have the servants cook it in soup when there's nothing to do, and drink a bowl every night." Bo Jingzhou pursed his lips. "Keep it for Dad to drink." Jiang Yazhu is very straightforward. "Your dad doesn't need to drink this." Is it impressive if he doesn't drink it? Or is it beyond saving even if he does? Is this something a junior like me should be hearing? Seeing Bo Jingzhou not taking it, Jiang Yazhu directly handed me the medicine package, urging me to hurry up and go, not just to buy medicine, but to get to the hospital quickly. As we left the Bo family villa and finally got into the car, I finally had a chance to speak. "What exactly did you talk about with Mom?" Bo Jingzhou didn't want to continue this topic. He glanced at the medicine still in my arms, raising an eyebrow with a cold tone that carried an innate sarcasm. "What? Are you really planning to take it back and brew a bowl for me every night?" I was stunned for a moment, then tossed the medicine into the back seat like it was trash, adding without missing a beat, "That's why Mom knows her son best. Realizing you're not up to the task, she even prepared the medicine for you." Bo Jingzhou was driving with one hand, playfully mulling over the word "no," and glanced at me again. Who was it that I sent to the hospital for stitches and kept bedridden for days after the first time I looked at him? My eyes flashing with a hint of pity. Hadn't he ever considered that I went for stitches not because he was so great, but because he was terrible at technique? Had he ever seen any woman go to the hospital for stitches after her first time? Such a unique case. And yet he couldn't reflect on himself. Bo Jingzhou narrowed his eyes, his displeasure and gloom almost palpable. He slammed on the brakes. "Get out. We're at the main road now, where it's easy to get a taxi." I reckon he's rushing to the hospital to see Jian Weining, but I have no intention of going there to watch them flaunt their love without hesitation. I pushed the car door open with my head held high and stepped out confidently as the car roared loudly. A cloud of dust blew into my face. I shouted at the car that had already merged into the traffic. "Are you in such a hurry because she's dead and you need to go collect her body?" All I got in response was silence. Later, I stood by the roadside waiting for a taxi, but instead, a black Bentley pulled up steadily in front of me. Uncle Jiang got out of the car and respectfully said, "Madam, the young master asked me to take you home." What I understood was, although he left you behind, he arranged for someone to take care of it. I wouldn't make things difficult for myself, so I got straight into the car. Inside, I kept thinking maliciously that if I made the divorce public, someone as vain as Bo Jingzhou would be furious. Annoying him at this point just isn't worth the trouble. It's only 3 months, 90 days, I can tough it out, but after tonight, I get the feeling that with Jian Weining's temperament, now that he's back in the country, he definitely won't wait 3 months with no need to go back to the Bo residence as a nanny the next day. I slept in. Qin Yuezhi has already gone to the shop and texted me. "The appointment with old Sue is set for tomorrow, but I have a client booked and can't go with you." After graduating from university, Qin Yuezhi opened an antique shop with funding from her family. She's also the one who helps me get my usual gigs. I replied okay, and headed out after breakfast. Now that I've moved out of Yuding Villa, I need to find a place to stay first. It'll be more convenient to live near work. I went to the real estate agency and within a morning, I found a 1-bedroom, 2-living-room apartment. It's close to my studio, has minimal furniture, and I can easily convert the second bedroom into a workspace. Most importantly, the property management is quite responsible. You need to register your ID number too. Enter or exit. After signing the contract, since I still had time, I went to the mall. Qin Yuezhi's birthday is coming up, and I plan to buy her a bag. She's been talking about the latest season's new release from a certain brand for a long time, and luckily, this mall carries that brand. I took the elevator to the 7th floor, and the salesperson greeted me. "Miss, do you have a particular style in mind?" People who buy such luxury items usually already have a specific style in mind. "Do you have the bag that's being promoted as your summer highlight in stock?" The salesperson smiled apologetically. "I'm sorry, that bag is a limited edition, and it's already been reserved at our store." I'm a bit disappointed, but thank you. As I was about to leave, a sophisticated woman in a professional outfit walked in and said to the sales assistant, "I'm here to pick up the limited edition handbag Mr. Bo ordered a few days ago." I stopped in my tracks and slowly clenched my fingers. The surname Bo is uncommon, and she recognized the woman in front of her. She had appeared in the news before. "She is Jian Weining's agent, sales associate." "All right, but we'll need to call Mr. Bo to confirm. Could you please provide your name and your relationship to him?" "I'm here on behalf of Ms. Jian Weining. My name is Tao Qingyi. I'm her agent." The sales associate turned to look up Bo Jingzhou's contact information on the computer. I had no intention of staying. After that initial pang of heartache, all that remained was numbness. We're getting divorced anyway. He can buy bags for whoever he wants. It's none of my business. I was about to leave when Tao Qingyi called out to me, "Ms. Shen." I didn't expect them to know who I was. I raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" Tao Qingyi didn't mince words and got straight to the point. "Miss Shen, you're so young and beautiful. Why cling to a man who doesn't love you? It's better to let go early. While you're still young, you can find someone good for you." "Did Jian Weining put you up to this?" I lifted my chin with an air of haughty disdain. How the times have changed. Mistresses used to hide in the shadows, terrified of being found out and punished. Now they dare to confront the wife directly. My demeanor as I said this completely dominated the other person. Tao Qingyi refused to back down. In matters of the heart, the one who isn't loved is the third wheel. Aining and President Bo were meant to be together from the start. "You're not married yet, are you, Agent Tao?" I narrowed my eyes, letting a captivating, alluring charm seep into my gaze. "When you do get married, I'll be sure to introduce your husband to a few charming female companions. I'd hate to let your magnanimity go to waste." The corner of Tao Qingyi's mouth stiffened. Before she could retort, my voice, soft yet carrying an intangible threat, cut in. "As for that bag, do me a favor and pass a message to Miss Jian. Tell her to transfer half the cost to my account." Even though Bo Jingzhou gave it to her, he and I are not yet divorced. It's considered marital property. If I don't receive the transfer within 3 days, she can expect to be served with a lawyer's letter. Tao Qingyi never expected that this seemingly quiet woman possessed such a sharp tongue and would be so difficult to deal with. For a moment, even she, known for her silver tongue, fell silent. I turned to leave, but the sales assistant behind me, trembling, called out, "Mrs. Bo." "Mr. Bo asked